Every day, billions of liters of wastewater are produced by homes, farms, and industries around the world. Once this water has been used, it often contains dirt, organic waste, nutrients, suspended particles, and countless microorganisms. If this polluted water is released directly into rivers or lakes, it can damage ecosystems, reduce oxygen levels, and create serious environmental problems. Most people imagine that cleaning wastewater always requires large treatment plants, filled with pumps, chemicals, and complex machinery. But nature has been cleaning water for millions of years, using a much simpler system. By combining plants, gravel, soil, and microscopic organisms, engineers have learned how to build treatment systems that work with nature instead of against it. These systems are known as constructed wetlands. At first glance, a constructed wetland may look like nothing more than a shallow bed of gravel covered with green plants. It resembles a small natural marsh rather than a piece of engineering. Yet beneath the surface, an entire biological ecosystem is working continuously to clean the water. Every stone, every plant root, and every colony of microorganisms plays a specific role in transforming polluted water into much cleaner water before it leaves the system. The journey begins when wastewater enters the treatment system. Depending on where the water comes from, it may contain food waste, soap residues, organic matter, tiny suspended solids, nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, and many naturally occurring microorganisms. Before reaching the wetland itself, the water often passes through a primary settling chamber. Inside this chamber, the flow slows down significantly. As the speed of the water decreases, gravity begins doing its work. Heavy particles that were suspended in the wastewater gradually settle toward the bottom, forming a layer of sludge. At the same time, lighter materials such as oils and grease may float to the surface. By removing much of the heavier material at this early stage, the system reduces the amount of solid waste entering the wetland, allowing the biological treatment process to operate more efficiently. After this initial separation, the partially clarified water slowly flows into the constructed wetland. Although the surface appears calm, the water usually moves beneath a layer of gravel instead of flowing openly above it. This underground movement provides several important advantages. It helps reduce unpleasant odors, limits mosquito breeding, protects the water from direct sunlight, and keeps the treatment process more stable throughout changing weather conditions. The gravel itself performs much more than a simple supporting role. As the wastewater moves slowly through thousands of tiny spaces between the stones, larger suspended particles become trapped. This physical filtration gradually removes fine solids that escape the settling chamber. But filtration alone is only the beginning. The true heart of the system lies on the surface of every stone and every plant root. These surfaces become home to enormous communities of beneficial microorganisms. Although invisible to the human eye, billions of bacteria, fungi, and other microscopic organisms attach themselves to the gravel, forming thin biological layers known as biofilms. These living communities are responsible for performing most of the actual treatment. As wastewater passes through these biofilms, the microorganisms begin feeding on the organic material dissolved in the water. To them, the pollutants are not simply waste, they are food. The bacteria break complex organic compounds into simpler substances, using them as a source of energy for growth and reproduction. During this process, much of the organic pollution is gradually converted into carbon dioxide, water, and new microbial cells. One of the most remarkable features of a constructed wetland is the role played by its plants. At first glance, it may seem as though the plants are responsible for cleaning the water directly. In reality, their greatest contribution is creating the perfect environment for the microorganisms that perform most of the treatment. Plants such as reeds, cattails, rushes, and other wetland species develop extensive root systems beneath the gravel. These roots spread throughout the treatment bed, creating an enormous network of surfaces where microorganisms can grow. As the roots expand, they dramatically increase the total area available for beneficial bacteria to colonize. Some wetland plants also transport small amounts of oxygen from their leaves down into the root zone. Although the surrounding gravel remains mostly saturated with water, tiny pockets of oxygen develop around portions of the roots. These oxygen-rich zones create ideal conditions for aerobic bacteria, which require oxygen to break down organic pollutants efficiently. Only a short distance away from these oxygen-rich areas, oxygen levels become much lower. Here, different groups of microorganisms thrive under low oxygen or oxygen-free conditions. This combination of aerobic and anaerobic environments allows many different biological processes to occur simultaneously within the same wetland. One of the most important substances removed during treatment is ammonia. Wastewater from homes and farms often contains significant amounts of nitrogen in the form of ammonia. High ammonia concentrations can be harmful to aquatic life if discharged into natural waterways. Inside the oxygen-rich zones surrounding the roots, specialized bacteria begin converting ammonia into nitrite and then into nitrate. This biological process is known as nitrification. Although nitrate is generally less toxic than ammonia, excessive nitrate can still contribute to water pollution if released in large amounts. Fortunately, another group of bacteria solves this problem. In the oxygen-poor regions deeper within the wetland, denitrifying bacteria use nitrate during their own metabolic processes. As they do so, they gradually convert nitrate into harmless nitrogen gas. This gas simply escapes into the atmosphere, where nitrogen already makes up most of the air we breathe. Phosphorus is another important nutrient commonly found in wastewater. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus is not easily converted into a gas. Instead, part of it becomes trapped within the gravel. Some binds to minerals in the substrate, and a portion is absorbed by the wetland plants as they grow. Although plants remove only part of the total phosphorus, their growth still contributes to improving overall water quality. As the wastewater continues moving slowly through the wetland, more suspended particles become trapped. More organic matter is consumed by microorganisms. More nutrients are removed through biological and physical processes. The water gradually becomes clearer as each section of the wetland performs another stage of treatment. One reason constructed wetlands work so effectively is the amount of time the water spends inside the system. Unlike fast-moving rivers or drainage channels, wastewater moves very slowly through the gravel bed. This extended retention time gives microorganisms enough opportunity to break down pollutants while allowing filtration and sedimentation to continue working together. The flow of water is carefully controlled during the design process. Engineers calculate the size of the wetland based on how much wastewater must be treated each day. If the water moves too quickly, microorganisms may not have enough time to complete their work. If it moves too slowly, unnecessary space may be required, increasing construction costs. Achieving the proper balance is essential for efficient operation. Temperature also affects biological treatment. Like all living organisms, bacteria become more active within certain temperature ranges. During warmer weather, microbial activity generally increases, allowing pollutants to be broken down more rapidly. In colder climates, treatment may continue at a slower pace, although properly designed wetlands can still function throughout the year. Sunlight also contributes indirectly to the process. It supports plant growth, allowing roots to continue expanding throughout the gravel bed. Healthy vegetation maintains the biological habitat needed by the microorganisms. At the same time, dense plant cover shades portions of the wetland, helping moderate water temperatures and reducing excessive algae growth in some designs. Constructed wetlands require remarkably little energy compared to many conventional treatment plants. Because water often flows through the system using gravity, pumps may be unnecessary in many installations. There are no large aeration blowers consuming electricity around the clock, no complex rotating machinery, and very few moving mechanical parts. Most of the work is performed naturally by gravity, plants, microorganisms, and time. This simplicity makes constructed wetlands especially valuable for rural communities, farms, parks, schools, remote villages, and areas where electricity or technical maintenance may be limited. Once established, the system requires relatively modest maintenance compared with highly mechanized treatment facilities. However, constructed wetlands are not completely maintenance-free. Over time, sediment may accumulate in the pre-treatment chamber and must be removed periodically. Plants may require seasonal management to maintain healthy growth. Engineers also monitor water flow to ensure that channels do not become blocked and that the entire wetland continues operating as designed. Different wetland designs are used depending on treatment goals. Some systems keep water flowing beneath the surface through gravel beds, while others allow shallow water to flow above the surface among aquatic plants. Vertical flow wetlands move water downward through the filter media before collecting it below, while horizontal flow wetlands allow water to travel slowly across the length of the treatment bed. Each design offers different advantages, depending on local conditions and the quality of wastewater being treated. In many larger wastewater treatment facilities, constructed wetlands are not used alone. Instead, they often serve as one stage within a broader treatment process. Mechanical equipment may remove large solids first, followed by biological treatment inside the wetland before the cleaned water undergoes final polishing or disinfection if required. The beauty of this technology lies in its partnership with nature. Instead of relying entirely on chemicals or large machines, engineers create an environment where natural biological processes can work continuously. The microorganisms receive food from the wastewater. The plants provide habitat for those microorganisms. The gravel filters suspended particles and supports the root system. Gravity keeps the water moving. Together, these components perform a highly effective form of water treatment using processes that already exist in natural wetlands around the world. By the time the water reaches the outlet, its appearance has changed dramatically. Much of the suspended material has been filtered out. Organic pollution has been broken down by microbial activity. Nitrogen levels have been reduced through biological conversion. Some phosphorus has been captured within the system. The water leaving the wetland is significantly cleaner than when it entered. Although additional treatment may still be required, depending on local regulations and intended reuse, constructed wetlands provide an efficient, sustainable, and environmentally friendly method for improving water quality using natural processes rather than intensive mechanical systems. The next time you see what appears to be an ordinary patch of wetland vegetation, remember that beneath those plants lies an extraordinary engineering system. Wastewater enters carrying pollutants, suspended solids, nutrients, and organic matter. Gravity removes the heaviest particles. Gravel filters the flow. Plant roots create a living habitat for billions of microorganisms. Those microorganisms consume pollutants, transform nutrients, and continuously improve water quality. Hour after hour, day after day, this quiet ecosystem performs one of nature's most remarkable cleaning processes, using nothing more than plants, microbes, gravity, and time. That is how wastewater cleans itself using plants and microbes.